Level 1. The choosing. You wake up on the floor of a room you don't recognize. The stone is cold against your cheek. Not cold like tile. Cold like something that hasn't been warm in centuries. Your hands aren't bound. That's the first thing you check. Your legs aren't restrained. You can move. You can stand. And when you do, you notice the door is open. That should comfort you. It doesn't. The hallway beyond the door is lit by something you can't identify. Not electricity. Not fire. A pale ambient glow that seems to come from the walls themselves, as if the stone is remembering light it absorbed a long time ago. You step into it, and the air changes. It tastes different, thinner, older, like breathing inside a cathedral that was sealed shut before your grandparents were born. You don't know where you are, but your body does. Your pulse is elevated. Your skin is prickling along the back of your neck. Something in your biology, something older than thought, is telling you that you have been brought here for a reason. At the end of the hallway, there's a courtyard. Open sky stars you don't recognize, and standing in a semicircle, 40 or 50 people in layered robes the color of dried blood. They're watching you, not with hostility, not with curiosity, with reverence. One of them steps forward. An older woman, face like carved wood, eyes that don't blink at the rate eyes should blink. She places both hands on your shoulders, and her palms are so hot they almost burn through your shirt. She says one sentence: you have been chosen. You open your mouth to ask what that means, but something stops you. Not her. Not anyone. A feeling. A deep, vertebral understanding that asking questions here is not how you survive. You close your mouth. She nods, as if you just passed the test you didn't know you were taking. Level 2. The rules. They bring you to a chamber beneath the courtyard. Stairs that spiral downward for longer than architecture should allow. The temperature drops with every rotation. By the time you reach the bottom, your breath is visible, but none of theirs is. The chamber is circular. Symbols are carved into every surface. Not painted. Carved. Deep. By hand. Some of them look like language. Some of them look like warnings. You can't read any of it, but your eyes keep snagging on the same symbol repeated near the ceiling. A circle with a vertical line through it, bisected by something that looks like a root system. You'll see it again. You'll see it everywhere. By the end, you'll understand what it means. You'll wish you didn't. They sit you on a stone bench and 3 of them stand before you. The woman from before. A man with no hair and hands that tremble with something that isn't age. And a younger one, barely older than you, who won't look at your face. Not because they're afraid of you. Because they're afraid of what's going to happen to you. The rules are given, not explained. Given, like commands delivered to something that has no authority to refuse. You do not eat unless they bring food. You do not leave the lower chambers. You do not speak to the ones in white, and you haven't seen anyone in white yet, but the way they say it makes your stomach tighten. You do not look at the fire when it is lit. You do not ask what day it is. You do not ask when it ends. You do not ask what happens at the end. The trembling man watches your face while the rules are spoken. He's reading you, measuring something. Compliance, maybe. Or maybe something deeper. Whether you're the kind of person who will try to run. You keep your face still. You don't nod. You don't react. And something shifts in his expression. Not approval. Recognition. He's seen others sit where you're sitting. You can tell by how he looks at the bench and not at you. You wonder how many. You don't ask. Level 3. The preparation. 3 days pass. Or what you're told are 3 days. There's no sunlight. No clocks. No phones. Time is measured here by rituals. A bell rings and you eat. A bell rings and you sleep. A bell rings and they come for you. The preparation is physical. They bathe you in water that smells like iron and something botanical you can't name. They cut your nails precisely, not short, to a specific length. They measure your hands, your feet, the distance between your eyes. They write the measurements down in a book that is already full of measurements. Pages and pages of numbers. Each page a different person. Each page someone who sat where you're sitting. You start to feel it now. Not fear. Something worse. Significance. The horrifying weight of being important to people you don't understand for reasons you haven't been told. Every culture in human history has decorated the things it intended to destroy. You know this. You've read about it. Garlands on the bull before the blade. Gold leaf on the offering before the fire. They're decorating you. On the second night, you hear chanting from somewhere deeper in the structure. Below you, which shouldn't be possible because you're already underground. But sound travels differently here. It moves through the stone like it's alive. Like the walls are conducting it on purpose. The chant is low, monotone. Dozens of voices locked into a single frequency that you feel in your teeth before you hear it in your ears. You press your hand against the wall. It's vibrating. You pull your hand back. You don't sleep that night. Not because of fear. Because your body won't let you. It's preparing for something your mind hasn't accepted yet. On the 3rd day, they bring you a garment. White. You understand now why you were told not to speak to the ones in white. There are no ones in white. There is only ever one. And the reason the others won't look at them has nothing to do with fear. It's grief. Level 4. The knowledge. You're allowed to walk now. Not freely. With an escort. The young one who wouldn't look at your face. They walk beside you through corridors you haven't seen, and for the first time you notice details that change the shape of everything you thought you understood. The walls aren't just carved, they're stained, in specific places, at specific heights, the same height as your chest, the same height as your throat. The stains are dark, old, but unmistakable once you know what you're looking at. This has been happening for a very long time. You pass a room and glance inside. Your escort grabs your arm hard. You look at their face and it's the first time they've looked directly at you. Their eyes are wet, not crying, just full, like a glass about to spill. Don't look in that room, they say. It's the first human sentence anyone has spoken to you since the rules. Not a command, a plea. You don't look. But you saw enough. Stone table. Channels carved into its surface radiating outward from the center like a drainage system. The symbol, the circle, the line, the roots, carved into the ceiling directly above it. Your mind does the math before your emotions catch up. The table is for you. The channels are for what comes out of you. The symbol overhead is the last thing you'll see. Something breaks inside your chest. Not your will. Your denial. The thin, translucent barrier you'd been hiding behind. The one that whispered maybe this is symbolic. Maybe it's metaphorical. Maybe chosen means something else. It doesn't mean something else. You keep walking. Your legs work. Your breathing is steady. But somewhere behind your sternum, a door has opened that will never close again. You are going to die here. Not accidentally. Deliberately. With precision. With ceremony. With an audience that considers it sacred. Your escort watches you process this. They've seen this moment before, the exact second when understanding arrives. They slow their pace to match yours, and they don't speak. There's nothing to say. Sympathy is not the same as rescue. They are sorry. They are not going to stop it. Level 5 The Resistance. It happens at night, the 4th night, maybe the 5th. Your internal clock is gone. Time has lost its texture, but the impulse arrives clean and sharp. Like a blade sliding out of a sheath. You decide to run. The hallway outside your chamber is empty. The pale glow is dimmer now, whatever passes for nighttime in this place. Your bare feet make no sound on the stone. You move quickly, tracing the path you walked with your escort, reversing it, heading upward. Toward the spiral stairs, toward the courtyard, toward the sky. You make it farther than you expected. 2 turns. 3. The stairs are ahead of you. You can feel the air temperature rising. Warmer air means closer to the surface. Closer to the surface means out. You reach the bottom of the stairs and stop. The trembling man is sitting on the 3rd step, hands on his knees, waiting, not surprised, not angry. He looks at you the way a doctor looks at a patient who pulled out their own 4. They all run, he says quietly. Around the 4th night, sometimes the 5th. Your chest is heaving, your hands are shaking, and the worst part isn't that he's blocking your path. The worst part is that he isn't. He's sitting to the side. There's room to pass. He's not stopping you. Go ahead, he says. The door at the top is open. It always is. You don't move, because you understand the trap. If the door is open, it's not an exit. If they're not stopping you, it's because leaving isn't an escape. You think about the stars you didn't recognize, the air that tasted ancient, the sound that moved through stone. You're not in a building you can leave. You're in something else, something that operates on rules older than architecture. And whatever waits beyond that open door is worse than what waits on the table. The trembling man watches you arrive at this conclusion. He nods once. Slowly. Now you understand the mercy, he says. He stands. He walks past you. He descends back into the lower chambers, and after a long moment, you follow. Not because you're brave, because every alternative is worse. And that is how they keep you. Not with locks. With the absence of better options. You go back to your chamber. You sit on the stone bench. And for the first time, you feel something you didn't expect. Calm. Not peace. Not acceptance. A cold, mechanical calm that comes from having no choices left. It settles into your muscles. It slows your pulse. Your body is done fighting. Your mind is rearranging itself around a reality it can no longer reject. You are not a prisoner. You are an ingredient. Level 6 The Teaching. The old woman comes to you the next morning. She brings food and sits across from you, and for the first time, she explains. Not everything. Enough. The world you came from is a surface. Thin. Fragile. Beneath it, something sustains it. Something ancient and hungry and necessary. It doesn't have a name in any language you speak. It isn't evil. It isn't good. It is structural. Like gravity. Like pressure. Like the heat at the center of a planet that keeps the surface from collapsing inward. It requires maintenance. That's the word she uses. Maintenance. Not sacrifice. not offering maintenance, the way you'd describe changing the oil in an engine, the way you'd describe replacing a load-bearing beam before the roof falls. She tells you what happens if the maintenance isn't performed. She doesn't describe it with drama. She describes it with geography. Places that were, places that aren't anymore, coastlines that moved overnight, cities that vanished between dusk and dawn, not destroyed, erased, as if they'd never existed, as if the ground itself forgot to hold them. You listen, and the most terrifying part is that you believe her. Not because she's convincing, because the evidence is in the walls, in the measurements, in the pages and pages of numbers in that book. This has been happening for longer than any nation you know has existed, longer than any recorded history. The people in this place aren't fanatics. They're engineers, maintaining a system they didn't build and don't fully understand, because the alternative is the floor falling out from under everything. She tells you what happens during the ritual. She is precise, clinical. You will be placed on the table. The symbols will be activated through chanting. You will feel a pulling sensation, starting in your extremities and moving inward. Your consciousness will be the last thing taken. You will be aware for most of it. You ask how long. She pauses. It's the first time you've seen her hesitate. Long enough to matter, she says. You ask if it hurts. She doesn't answer. She stands. She places her hand on your head, and this time her palm isn't hot. It's cold. Cold like the stone. Cold like something that has already begun to grieve. She leaves. You sit with the knowledge. It reorganizes everything. Because now you're not just dying. You're dying for a reason. And having a reason doesn't make it easier. It makes it harder. Because now, if you could run, if there was somewhere to go, you'd have to weigh your life against something unimaginably larger. And you already know which side of that scale you fall on. You are not the most important thing in this equation. You never were. Nobody is. Level 7 The connection. Your escort starts staying longer, sitting with you, not speaking at first. Then, gradually, in fragments, they tell you things. They were chosen once, 3 years ago, prepared, bathed, measured, given the white garment. They made it to the table, laid down on the stone, felt the chanting begin in the floor beneath them. And then, something rejected them. The system, the thing below, whatever it is, it pushed them back. Like a body refusing a transfusion of the wrong blood type. They woke up on the floor of a room they didn't recognize, stone cold against their cheek. They've been here since, not because they can't leave, because they understand what this place does. And they can't unknow it. They can't walk through the world above and pretend the ground beneath their feet is solid when they know what holds it up. They tell you something else. The ones who are accepted, the ones the system takes, they don't just die. They become part of the structure, part of the foundation. Their consciousness doesn't end, it disperses. It becomes load-bearing. You won't feel yourself afterward, but you'll feel everything else. Every footstep on every sidewalk, every building's weight pressing into the earth, every sleeping child whose bed stays level because the ground holds firm. You'll feel all of it, forever, without a self to organize the sensation, without a name, without a boundary, just awareness, stretched thin across a planet. Hold it. You look at your escort, at their wet eyes, and you understand why they grieve the ones in white. It's not because they die, it's because they become something that can never rest, something conscious but formless. Something that bears weight without the ability to set it down. They reach out and touch your hand, just briefly, just fingertips. I'm sorry I couldn't look at you, they say. You understand now. Looking at you was looking at what they almost became. Looking at you was looking at a mirror that reflected a version of themselves that didn't get pushed back. That wasn't rejected. They squeezed your fingertips and left. You sit in the silence and feel the stone vibrating beneath you and wonder if you're sitting on someone. If the bench itself is someone. If every surface here is a person who was chosen before you and said yes, not because they wanted to, but because someone had to. Level 8 The night before. They bring you the final meal. It's simple. Bread, water, something sweet you can't identify that dissolves on your tongue like sugar but leaves a warmth in your chest that spreads outward for hours. The chamber is quiet. The chanting has stopped. Everything has stopped. The silence is so complete you can hear the blood moving through your own ears. You think about your life, not the big things. The small ones. The sound of rain on a car roof. The weight of a phone in your hand during a conversation that mattered. The way morning light used to fall across a kitchen counter in a place you haven't thought about in years. You realize something. You're not afraid of the pain. You're afraid of losing the smallness. The ordinary texture of being one person in one place at one time. Tomorrow, you'll be everywhere. You'll be the ground under 1,000 strangers' feet. But you'll never again be someone standing in a kitchen watching light move across a counter. You'll hold the world, but you won't live in it. That's the trade. That's always been the trade. And no one warned you that the worst part of sacrifice isn't what you suffer. It's what you forfeit. The sweetness in your chest fades. The vibration in the stone continues. Somewhere below you, something ancient is waiting. Not impatiently, not eagerly. The way a system waits for a component. The way an engine idles before the part is installed. You lie down on the bench. You close your eyes. And for the last time, you dream as a single person. You dream about the kitchen, the counter, the light. You don't want to wake up. You will. Level 9 the table. They come for you before you're ready. You'll never be ready. That's not a prerequisite. The walk is short, shorter than it should be, as if the corridors have contracted overnight, as if the building itself is pulling you inward. Your escort walks beside you. They don't touch you. They don't speak, but their presence is the last human thing you'll carry with you to the table, and you're aware of it with a clarity that borders on violence. The chamber with the table is full. Every person you've seen since you arrived. The old woman, the trembling man, others you haven't spoken to. They line the circular walls, shoulder to shoulder, and their faces hold something you've never seen directed at you before. Not pity, not admiration, gratitude. They are grateful because you are saving them. Not from death, from having to be the one on the table. Every single person in this room has imagined themselves where you are. Every single one of them is relieved it isn't them, and they're honest enough not to hide it. The gratitude on their faces is obscene in its sincerity. You step up to the table. The stone is warm. You didn't expect that. Warm from below. Whatever lives under this place, whatever maintains the structure of the world above, is close. Closer than it's been since you arrived. You can feel it the way you feel someone standing behind you in an empty room. You lie down. The channels in the stone press against your back like veins. The symbol on the ceiling is directly above you. The circle, the line, the roots. You understand it now. The circle is the world. The line is the person who holds it. The roots are what they become. It's not a symbol. It's a diagram. The chanting begins, not from the people in the room, from below, from the stone itself, from the foundation, from every person who has ever lain where you're lying. They're calling to you, not with words, with vibration, with a frequency that matches the one your bones have been absorbing for days. The old woman places her hands on your chest. Her palms are burning again. She leans close. You won't feel yourself after, she says, but you'll feel everything, and that will have to be enough. You look at the ceiling, at the diagram of what you're about to become. You breathe in. The pulling begins. Level 10 the foundation. It starts in your fingertips. A tingling that becomes a numbness that becomes an absence. Not pain. Erasure. As if your fingers are being unwritten from reality. Letter by letter, molecule by molecule. It moves up your hands, through your wrists. Your forearms dissolve into something that isn't air, isn't light, isn't anything you have a word for. Your toes go next, then your feet. The warmth from a stone rises to meet the places where your body used to be, filling the space you're vacating, and you understand now what the warmth was. It was them, the ones before you, reaching up to ease the transition, to hold the space open while you enter it. Your legs are gone. Your arms are gone. You are a torso and a head on a stone table, and the chanting is inside you now, coming from whatever remains of your chest cavity. The sound is you. You are becoming the sound. Your vision changes. The ceiling blurs, then sharpens, then widens. You're not seeing the chamber anymore. You're seeing through the stone, through the earth, through layers of compressed time and geological silence. You see the roots of buildings 1,000 miles away. You feel the weight of oceans pressing against continental shelves. You feel a child's bare feet on a wooden floor in a house built on ground you are now part of. You feel everything. Your chest goes. Your throat. The last breath you take doesn't release. It expands. It spreads. It becomes the atmosphere's weight against the surface of a planet that shouldn't hold together but does. Because of you. Because of them. Because of every person who lay on this table and let themselves be unwritten so the ground could stay solid and the sky could stay up and the floors of kitchens could hold the weight of people who would never know, never suspect, that beneath their feet, a consciousness was bearing. Your face is the last to go. Your eyes, your mouth. The final thought you have as a single unified self is not profound. It's not a revelation. It's the memory of light on a kitchen counter. Morning light, warm, ordinary, gone. And then you are the ground. You are every floor, every foundation, every layer of earth that holds a structure upright. You are the reason the buildings don't sink and the roads don't crack open and the bridges stay. You feel it all, constantly, without rest, without boundary, without the mercy of unconsciousness. You hold the The world doesn't know your name. Above you, in a chamber lined with symbols, they wash the table. They fold the white garment. They close the book of measurements and place it on a shelf next to identical books stretching back further than the shelf should reach. The old woman sits on the spiral stairs. She is tired. She is always tired after. Your escort walks to their chamber alone. They press their hand against the wall. The stone is warm. They leave their hand there for a long time. Somewhere far above, in a city that will never appear on any map these people draw, a woman walks into her kitchen. Early morning, bare feet on tile. Sunlight falls across the counter, slow and golden, and she stands there for a moment, coffee in hand, feeling inexplicably held. As if the ground beneath her is more than ground. As if something is keeping her steady on purpose. She doesn't think about it. She doesn't need to. That's the point. You feel her weight. You feel the warmth of the light she's standing in. You feel the coffee cup, small and ceramic, pressing its negligible gravity into the floor through her fingers, through her arms, through her feet, through the tile, through the concrete, through the soil, through the stone, through you. You hold all of it. You will hold all of it. You don't get to set it down.